Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Conniff. I am the host of Ski the Dream on skitv.tv. And I am joined today, very happy to be joined today by John Emery. John is the CEO of Alpinex, which is a pretty amazing proposition when it comes to indoor skiing down in Northern Virginia. Welcome to the show, John. Great to have you.
Thank you, Michael. Glad to be here.
Well, listen, we have to, normally I would start a little more generally and talk with you, but I think that I think it's important for people to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. So I will just set the table by saying Alpinex is a 400,000 square foot facility with indoor skiing. You're building it in Northern Virginia. And tell us what it is and exactly where you are in the process of opening.
Absolutely. So we're developing a new brand, if you will, Alpinex, with the intention to build across the country, typically in major metropolitan markets that we believe will complement the outdoor winter sports venues. So it's really meant to create everything from recreational up through competitive level training and skiing and boarding with a host of other activities. So what we're building is a little different than what you see in Europe, where the idea kind of came out of originally. It's really a full resort experience. So we're adding a lot of low and no skill snow activities in addition to the traditional skiing and boarding, and then also activities outside of the snow dome. So the snow dome itself is 400,000 square feet. We also have a 200-room hotel, multiple food and beverage outlets, lots of activities for kids, educational activities, other activities for adults. My whole idea is that a group can come up and they can all have a shared experience while doing different things, so that not everybody needs to develop or want to be in a skill piece of the facility. They can do something that's just more relaxing and fun for them. They can play in the snow, go tubing, go sledding, and they can regroup as a group back outside of the snow dome. So it's really meant to be more of a resort experience than just a winter sports experience.
And where are you in terms of construction, finance, and do you have an opening day?
We have an opening target time frame.
Yeah,
these things take a long time to get going. So this has been a few years in the process to get our flagship site lined up, which is on a repurposed landfill in Fairfax County, right outside of Washington, D.C. What that allows us to do is be in the middle of the population center. So we're going to save people a lot of time in addition to money if they want to squeeze in a little bit of fun without dedicating a complete weekend or week away. In terms of timing, we are in full-blown development mode right now, working closely with the county. So all the plans are being drawn up. We expect to break ground in about 18 to 24 months, and that would put us opening 18 to 24 months after that. We're going to take a little more time on the flagship to make sure that we get it right, because we expect to replicate it very soon after. We'll have several in motion at the same time. So we really want to make sure this one is designed and built in a way that can be easily replicated throughout the country.
The longest indoor ski slope in North America may be coming right here to Fairfax County. Even more unusual is its proposed location. WDVM's Rebecca Burnett has those details for us.
This view from 500 acres of Fairfax County is somewhat of a well-kept secret. That's because the best views are from the top of an inactive landfill.
The views from the top of the landfill are unbelievable, and nobody can see them now. It's one of the highest points in Fairfax County, beautiful views of the Occoquan and Potomac River, and our residents will finally get to enjoy that.
The county has accepted a privately funded proposal to build the longest indoor ski slope in North America right here at the I-95 landfill complex. Holding company Alpinex says landfills are an ideal location given their natural slope.
It's a great opportunity for the county to take a landfill, which is generally looked at as a liability versus an asset, and put something on there that's going to be a tourist destination.
They were looking for a spot on the East Coast, and I think they found that we were very welcoming here. We pulled the right people together in Fairfax County and got them together with the right people at Alpinex, and we're making it happen.
The sports complex will be one of 60 in the world, the first in North America. As if it couldn't get any more unusual, a gravity-powered mountain coaster and a gondola will bring tourists from the facility to Occoquan Regional Park.
Being able to connect it to Occoquan Regional Park and the Lorton Workhouse Art Center, it creates an entire destination hub here in South County.
Once completed by mid-2022, it's expected to bring thousands of tourists, but officials anticipate it will also be an amenity for Fairfax residents, too.
We can now have high school ski teams. Our residents can, look at George Mason. They can attract students that want to be near skiing, and they'll have year-round skiing here.
Reporting in Lorton, Rebecca Burnett, WDVM 25.
And we know this exists in all over the world, in Europe, in China,
Yes.
and Japan, and I think in Russia as well. You can probably tell us some other places. But has this come to the U.S. before?
There's a nice indoor ski facility up in New Jersey called Big Snow. It is attached to a large shopping mall, and in many of that mall, people like it. It's got very good feedback. Our experience will be broader, will be more of a resort experience, not just that particular amenity. But that's a great, I think, first open in the U.S. of a significant indoor facility. So we're happy about that and happy about how it's been received. The biggest difference and the reason why these, I think, have not been developed yet in the U.S. I have a deep background in the family resort business. So we've been looking at this on and off for a long time. Is in Europe and most of the world, they're really focused in areas where you have a high percentage of dedicated winter sports enthusiasts to start with. Here, what we're really trying to do is create a facility for the entire community to reach every socioeconomic group, because we're open every day. We won't have the exclusivity that outdoor skiing traditionally has. You won't have the time commitment and you won't have the financial commitment. It'll be priced like airline tickets. On Friday or Saturday, it'll be at the upper end of the price range. On a Tuesday evening, if people want to come after school, after work, it's going to be significantly discounted. And this allows us to really broaden out the audience of people that can participate in snow sports. Because right now, there's a pretty big financial barrier to participating in winter sports. This really solves a lot of that. So our vision is this is really something that literally every person in the community can view as being built for them. It's not just for the dedicated winter sports enthusiasts.
And how much is this going to cost? Sounds like a very big deal.
Well,
have you raised the money to do it, or are you looking for investors? Where are you with that?
The great thing is we've been able to self-fund through development process here. We will raise additional capital as it goes on. We have a long background in building multi-$100 million resorts and facilities, so that's not new to us. The indoor ski element is new to us. But where the property is located financially, it should be very financially viable there. So we're happy about that. And like I said, we have not had to go outside for any funding yet to date.
And the population in northern Fairfax County, it's got to be among the most dense population in the entire country, isn't it?
There are millions of people that can drive here or take public transportation easily to the facility. The economic demographics are really strong in the Washington, D.C. area in general. But that also kind of leads us back to we want to be a facility for everybody, not just the people in that upper economic demographic. And we think we really have a chance to do that here.
And will that affect the type of hotel you build? In other words, that doesn't sound to me like the Regis, the St. Regis, the Ritz-Carlton, the Four Seasons. It sounds more like maybe possibly a Hyatt level, or maybe even a little lower.
I would say Hyatt level is a good example, and our focus is on having safe, clean fun. So it's easy if you think of like theme parks. There's a lot of things that are fun. What we want to do to take some of the stress out of the experience is make sure everything feels safe. It feels clean. So it's not just making things clean and safe. It is allowing people to enjoy the experience and reduce the tension that novice and non-regular skiers and boarders have when they're going back. So part of the thing is this is a place where people can learn. They can tune up before they head out west, before they head to a regional resort.
Right.
We really expect this to feed all those, even the regional resorts that are close to us, not compete with them.
Well, we know how it feels when you haven't skied a while and how your legs feel when you get out there. So this would be an antidote to that. And, it reminds me of, I once did market research for Smuggler's Notch. I never, I did a lot of consulting in my life, but it wasn't really oriented toward the ski industry. But one time, because I was working there as an instructor, I started talking to, the president, and we wanted to interview first-time skiers. And my assumption was that there were going to be a lot of unhappy first-time skiers that, for the reasons you're hinting at, it's a very tense experience. It's a very expensive experience. Things can go wrong. Things do go wrong. The equipment feels strange. There are lots of and to my shock, I found that I think it was like 80%. It was a long time ago, but vast majority loved it and wanted to do it again. And it's sort of, intuitively it makes sense. But if you're on the ground at a ski resort, that there's a lot of, I would call it agita around the ski experience, just there are a lot of moving parts. I felt this as a late, I came to skiing late. I felt that it was really hard. So I think anything you can do to take away that pain is going to be really, really positive and beneficial to people.
I could not agree with you more.
Yeah. So that's my little speech, but let's talk a little bit, just very briefly, about worldwide. It seems to me, if I had to guess, I would say there are like 50 to 100 of these worldwide. Is that the ballpark, or is it less?
Yeah, I believe it's close to 90 worldwide.
Close to 90. Okay,
you're right. Yeah, you're right in there.
Definitely. And they are centered in. Can you tell us where they are centered? Where can we find them now primarily?
So the majority of the early ones were throughout Europe. I visited 6 of them right prior to COVID, as we were getting ready to launch our
that was my next question. Here. Yeah, where did you go?
Yeah. And they're fantastic. We were predominantly in Norway and Germany. So we went to kind of the newer ones that are a little more resort-like, a little more targeted to what we're doing. We are also partnered with Snow World that runs many of them in Europe.
Oh,
so we met with them as well. The newer ones, Dubai, Egypt, China's building a lot of them right now. So they're all opening up winter sports to new customers that traditionally haven't had, whether it's geographic access. That's a lot of that. Our idea is not just the geographic access, but the economic access to open it up from that standpoint. If you think about, let's take rental equipment, for example. Compared to an outdoor regional ski resort, they're going to rent equipment once a day, probably 2 or 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I may rent equipment 2 or 3 or 4 times a day because people are going to come out for 2 hours at a time. We're open for 16 hours, right? So by having that turnover, it helps us keep crowds down. We don't need to pack everybody there at the same time like you do in an outdoor ski resort, but it also helps us keep the costs down because we're getting more utilization.
Mm-hmm.
My lifts, my equipment, everything I have is being used 365 days,
and
not just a narrower season.
And also you have, I know ski rental can be very lucrative. So that's not a bad thing at all, right?
Well, our idea is to make it more affordable to
Yeah.
keep the average ticket down. We really want something that becomes a very repeatable experience, not a once a year experience. And so if you can keep the pricing in line, then people can come back, they can build their skills up, and then they transition really well to the outdoor market.
Tell me about the pricing. I go to Northern Fairfax. I've got a meeting in the morning. I like this idea. I'm going to try to jump on at some point in the afternoon or at lunchtime. What kind of pricing are we looking at, for day, half day, week? And also, I assume you're going to have season tickets too, right?
We'll have season tickets, and we'll have all kinds of time frame tickets. Typical person's going to go for 2 or 3 hours, and that's going to be $45, something like that.
Okay.
It can be even cheaper in slower times that are less desirable. You may push that price up to manage your crowds on a weekend. So it'll be variable pricing based on demand, and that helps you spread the business out.
Sure.
By being 20 minutes from, millions of people, 20, 30 minutes, they can spread it out well. It's not a huge, one of the reasons we like the site, and I grew up in the area, just which helps a lot, but you're not fighting all the commuter traffic to get to our site. So the site is very accessible by the neighborhood communities without having to deal with the roads are I-95 and I-66 are the two big roads, without having to deal with them.
I want to talk a little bit about what a skiing experience is like. Is the industry term a ski dome? Is that the how you refer to it?
It's funny you say that. We've called it many things in the development process. Right now, we're using the term ski dome. It's not like a tennis bubble. I don't want people to picture it. It's a full blown building, but
yeah, I mean, I would think more like the Astrodome or the Superdome. Right. So this let's for our purposes we'll go with ski dome. So what is the skiing experience like typically in a ski dome? And also, key question is, how high is the slope? What is it the equivalent of at its peak?
Yeah. So the vertical will be likely around 300 feet. So when you build these, you go more for width than length, so that you're not taking a straight shot down every time, and your runs can, you typically build it. So what we're planning, you're going to have 2 dedicated skiing boarding slopes. You'll have a dedicated terrain park area.
I was going to ask.
We'll have a dedicated training area, which is separated so that you don't have probably have some of the small regionals where the people learning are interacting with the people coming up and down the hill.
That's a problem everywhere almost, yeah.
We'll have a dedicated tubing sledding area, so you can do that any time of day. And a dedicated what's called snow play. So we'll have a pretty good size, snow play area where people can just come play and have fun in the snow. This getting back to the skiing part, which is important, you'll have kind of green, blue, black, but it's not going to be the equivalent of an outdoor, and it's not intended to be. But you'll have different levels and different experiences. One main lift typically, and then a couple of smaller lifts that take people to the various parts of the facility.
Well, people thinking about younger skiers, will there be any ski racing element to it?
Yeah, so we're working with a terrain company right now that designs ski slopes to where we can have certified competition for several different areas. It's a little bit outside of me. I'm a recreational skier. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. It's hard to become a proficient skier there. So I'm probably, your average customer, but we have in our advisory group people that are very into competitive level skiing, because the intention is, and this is what they use in front of Europe, year round out of the season, we would expect to see very high level competitors training here. So again, that's the benefit of being open every day. We're not going to have huge consumer demand on Wednesday mornings in September. So we can use the facility for training and things like that.
And you'll have night skiing, of course. And when I was living in Vermont, my son actually learned to ski at Cochrane Ski Resort, which is famous because two of the Cochrans were on the Olympic team, and one of them I think might have actually won a gold medal. And they learned on a tiny little slope. I mean, this was just a mom and pop hill, and they learned well enough to be Olympians. So I would not sleep on really, really good skiers coming out of that kind of environment, which would be great.
I expect to see it. I think it'll be fantastic. I haven't counted them, but I bet you there's a half a dozen regional ski resorts within 2 to 4 hours of us as well. Mm-hmm. So people can transition to teams at the outdoor, during season. Now, we've had a lot of trouble with season in the Mid-Atlantic recently. Last year was pretty good.
It's too hot.
We've had some really tough years. Yeah.
That's the other thing. I mean, the notion of it's not a notion. The reality of global warming is that those areas, and even in Vermont, New Hampshire, they struggle for ski. I mean, I turned on the radio once and heard an ad for Okemo, and the entire ad was about their snowmaking. And I'm like, I had been in Colorado. I'm like, you can go in Colorado for 20 years and not hear a snowmaking ad. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard a snowmaking ad. So it's a legitimate problem. What are those ski resorts that are right within reach of you?
There's a lot of them. In Virginia, you have Wintergreen, Massanutten, the Bryce. In West Virginia, Timberline, Canaan, Snowshoe. In Maryland and Pennsylvania, you have a place called Whitetail. And then from there, if you bump up into Poconos, which is about 4 hours away, there are several up in Poconos. I was born in Philadelphia, so the first place I ever skied was a place called Jack Frost in the Poconos. But Camelback in the Poconos is popular. They've got a great water park to go with it, so they have a lot of family experiences. Mm-hmm. Seven Springs, Wisp is, I think, 2 hours from DC. So, I mean, there's more than half a dozen. Yeah, quite a few.
Now, you said you were a recreational skier. So how would you compare the actual skiing? And I assume that when you visited, you did some skiing. Am I right about
absolutely.
that? Okay.
You gotta try it out.
That's the whole point of being in the ski business. If you can't ski, like what's the point? So where did you actually put on the skis, and what was the skiing experience like? And finally, how is it different from the outdoor experience?
So some of the differences are great. The temperatures are controlled, so you don't have wind, which is, so I've skied out at Loveland a bunch of times in Colorado because we have friends that live out there. Yeah, that's where their season passes are.
You didn't get married there, did you? Because a lot of people get married at Loveland. They really do.
It's an amazing, it's an amazing place. When you're from the East Coast, it's amazing. Except for the winds from time to time. I mean, it's on the Continental Divide, I believe. So it gets a little wind. So the conditions are always consistent. Mm-hmm. It's not as powdery as you'd be in a Utah or a Colorado on a good day. But it's not icy like you're going to be on the East Coast. So the conditions are good.
Is it like a corn type of skiing, or if it's there's powder, there's packed powder, there's ice.
I would say it's more packed powder.
So it's kind of packed powder type of experience.
It's all man-made snow. It's all real snow, obviously.
It's consistent.
It's man-made inside, so it's consistent. And I think it's typically around 25 degrees inside, but with no wind. So you'll see people skiing in a sweatshirt. You don't need to be completely bundled up. I mean, I wore gloves. I always wear a helmet because I'm not that good.
Because everybody should, right?
Absolutely. But it's a couple hour experience.
Yeah.
If I'm skiing, I was a steamboat right prior to COVID. I'm there for the day. Right. Sure. Here, you're going to do it for a couple hours. You're going to come out. You're going to grab a bite, relax a little bit. You can go back in. So it's more of an in and out kind of thing.
It can sort of feel like bowling.
It's
higher end bowling. But you know what I like to say about bowling? Nobody ever has a bad time bowling. So we can assume that people are really going to have a good time doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about your background just briefly. John, and we're talking to John Emery. He's the CEO of Alpinex. Love the name. Love the logo on your T-shirt. That's a good start. You got to have that when you get started. When did you fall in love with skiing? Let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about your business career.
I skied a little bit as a youth coming out of Philadelphia, but not much because of financial limitations.
Sure.
Really didn't have. I was first in my generation to go to college, so really until I became a working adult, didn't really have the funding for those type of vacations.
Yeah.
Started off as Snowshoe in West Virginia, which is a great East Coast, mid-Atlantic ski resort, fantastic place. And what I like about it is the bonding as much as the activity.
Sure.
It's a chance to do something that's healthy with your friends and your family. It gives people a connection from all kinds of different backgrounds, and maybe that's part of why, I'm just completely excited about being able to bring in a lot of people who financially don't think of themselves as looking at skiing. And this is going to be an opportunity to have them be part of that experience and part of the community.
So that draws on what you went through. You're a young guy in Philadelphia. You don't have a lot of money. First guy to go to college in your family, and it was kind of out of reach. And so this Alpine in Northern Virginia will be in reach of almost virtually everybody.
Right. And now we have friends that we travel west with. We have friends that we do things locally with. It's a nice mix. But I think in my background building, I've built a lot of Great Wolf Lodge indoor water park resorts, which are great family-centric bonding experiences. This allows us to add a health and wellness element to the resort experience.
Yeah.
And so families I just got back from a trip with my family. My kids are older now, but we all went 2 days of hiking, a day of biking. And it's nice to have fun together and not feel like you came back with 10 more pounds on, and something that was healthy for everybody at the same time. So this is a chance to do something that's fun, is good. It's not just the experience, but it's good for the community and for people spending quality time together. And it also contributes to their health. And the reason I say that, when we go to Colorado, it's the hardest I ever work out is if I'm heading out west skiing. Because if I don't get in a little bit of shape, I don't get the experience I want to get.
Yeah.
Right. So by having something closer where people's mindset can develop into, hey, if I keep healthy, it allows me to enjoy these things more and get more out of the experience. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, no, it's great incentive. So how are you taking that experience? I believe it was at Great Wolf.
Yes. Great Wolf Lodge.
Great Wolf Lodge. How are you taking that experience, which has a similarity of being a family experience, being they're both indoor experiences, but on one you've got basically water and one you've got snow. So what did you learn in that experience that you're now transferring into your new business?
So we had a great operating team that really in my mind, gets the credit for developing Great Wolf Resorts. It was the quality of experience. So and that's where clean, safe, fun came from. That team recognized that helping parents relax while their kids are having fun has value. And it's different from a traditional theme park, not Disney, but a regional theme park where you don't feel quite as comfortable. Your kids are having fun, you're going to do it. Our operating team was able to create an environment where parents can relax while their kids are having fun. And that really, to me, is what drove that experience.
Yeah.
But here's what we want to evolve from there. Great Wolf was really built as a dedicated vacation, a multi-day experience. This is being built to blend that with a quick getaway. So for all of us, especially, not just people with kids, but sometimes you just need a half day off, and you can't commit a whole weekend to it. Or for a lot of people, here's the tough part with skiing. With a local ski resort, my daughter lives close to one. I won't mention the one because it's not their fault, but they finally have a great day. She works in a hospital, so through COVID, working like crazy, finally gets a day off, but it's a Saturday. They go there. It's an hour every time you want to go back up a lift. And they spent $300 to rent equipment and buy lift tickets, which for them was a lot of money. And they're like, it just wasn't a great experience because they have to pack it all into a short period of time. That's the only time they can make revenue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So we can manage around that. Right. I need the experience to be just as much fun on a Saturday afternoon as it is on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
So we don't need to fill it all up in these tiny little windows of time. So that's kind of what we've learned is by being open every day, it allows you to provide a better experience for people throughout the whole year.
Well, you have big plans. Your prototype is in Northern Virginia, as you mentioned, for Alpinex. In a perfect world, how big could this get? How many could you end up? How many would you like to have? And what does that trajectory look like? And what would be next? What would be the next place?
We are traveling here in a couple weeks, working on the next location. But it's not public yet.
A secret location.
They deserve to be kept quiet until they're official, right?
Yeah.
For all the right reasons. We think of it in general terms as NFL cities in terms of population density.
Okay.
These are not simple to make work economically. I mean, there's a reason why they're not all across the U.S. already. So you need to be really close to a population center so that you can get people a 2-hour experience in addition to the resort experience. And you need to be in communities where you can really open the experience up to every demographic, because our business model is based on lots of people enjoying this that are not dedicated skiers and boarders. That's what makes this work for everybody.
Is it going to? Do you see it as primarily, NFL's all over the place? Will this do better in warm weather, cold weather, or where you are now, which is kind of in between a little bit?
It's funny. That's a great lesson learned from Great Wolf Resorts. The first one was built up in Wisconsin because the summer season was very short.
Yeah.
So a family built the first one with an indoor water park to extend the season. When we built in Texas, we were nervous about. It was the first one we built outside of the cold weather markets, and it did fantastic. And it turned out that really, kind of like you were referring to back when you used to do research, what families were looking for was just a good quality experience. And even with an indoor water park, it can be too hot, it can be too cold,
Sure.
The sunburn. There's so little time for people to break away and spend quality time together. They want to know what they're getting. And so I think it really is going to be relatively climate agnostic in terms of how it does. It is population agnostic. Mm-hmm. We need to have enough people to be able to. You had asked the cost number before. I think I forgot to mention it, but there's 200 million plus.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 225 for this first one in Fairfax.
I was going to let you off the hook. I wasn't pressing that.
No. I don't know. We're really open, and we want. Sure. I hope that number helps people realize that we're building a serious facility.
Sure.
That's good up through competition level. This is not something being built just for kids, right? This is a full-blown, serious winter sports facility.
Sure. No, that's impressive. And, I wonder, just thinking out loud, how something like that would do in a city like Denver, which has a big ski population, whether, they could ski, they don't get to ski year round either, right? Now you would suffer when there's a lot of snow, of course, but it's an idea that doesn't necessarily have to be in places. You just need the population, as you said.
You need population. And for Denver, I would think about it might be a good place to put one with an existing outdoor resort, because right. Then you share. Then you're getting. I think in terms of how do I spread my cost over what period of time, and you have some just amazing facilities at these outdoor resorts, and they all struggle. I know we do biking, we do conferences. We do other stuff at the outdoor resorts in the off season, but it's tough to get the most out of it. So there could be options for that.
Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, if you've ever, I mean, it can be graded in a resort in the summer, but there's really no but. I would say they have to work really hard to make it great. They have to really hustle.
I like spending time at those resorts in the summer for different we like doing a lot of hiking and things like that. But it's hard to generate enough of that for the resort to actually have a financial impact.
Right. So it's been great to talk to you. I mean, I think that what I would call Alpinex is kind of the democratization of skiing. Just as you talked about in your background, how difficult.
Like that.
Yeah, right. That you can have that, no charge. But seriously, skiing is a high-end niche sport. It doesn't mean people who aren't rich don't ski. They do, but they have to really. It's really hard for them, or they become ski instructors. You know, there's not an easy path. You can do it, but it's not easy. Whereas you're going to introduce a lot of people to skiing. You're going to teach a lot of people how to ski, and you're going to give skiers a chance to ski, almost 24/7 year round. So I really do wish you luck. I think there could be a niche for this, and we will be watching you very carefully. So don't make any mistakes.
I appreciate the interest. I really do.
John Emery is the CEO of Alpinex. It's a 400,000 square foot facility, 200-room hotel in Northern Virginia. And he's been gracious enough to come on Ski the Dream on skitv.tv. And John, we thank you, and we do certainly wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Okay, stay in touch.
Thanks. Take care.
See you on the slopes.